keynote speech is by Professor Bhavani Thuraisingham from UT Dallas. Bhavani is a Louis Batro Jr. Distinguished Professor of Computer Science and Executive Director of the Cybersecurity Research and Education Institute at UT Dallas. She's also a visiting Senior Research Fellow at King's College, University of London. She's a Fellow of ACM, IEEE, and AAAS. Bhavani has received numerous awards, including ACM SecAl 2010 Outstanding Contribution Award, ACM SecAl, this is Access Control Conference, 10-year Test of Time Award, as well as IEEE Computer Society Technical Achievement Awards. Bhavani has extensive research experiences across academia, industry, and government. And she's an extremely productive scholar, have published 250 conference papers, 120 journal papers, 15 books, and as well as 6 US patents. And Bhavani is, I am lucky to say Bhavani is my mentor and has been extremely supportive of all the diversity, inclusive excellence efforts that SecAl has been organizing. And so let's welcome Bhavani.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Daphne, for inviting me to give this talk. And also thank you, Daphne, and also Elisa for founding CyberW in 2017 and at the ACM-CCS. And also, I'm really honored to work with you all in co-organizing this workshop. It's really great that we are doing this, because as you said in your opening speech, that we do need women role models. So my talk, I'm going to discuss some of my current research. It's a very high-level presentation, SecAl, integrating cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. And then later on, I'll say why it's an ideal career for a woman, because we have sort of the best of both worlds, cybersecurity and AI. Okay, so I want to just one chart on how I got here. Where did I start? So my ethnic origin, I'm originally from Sri Lanka, and I'm a Tamil origin. And so I got married when I was 20 in 1975. And I was finishing my bachelor's degree in math and physics at the University of Ceylon. Ceylon used to be the earlier name for Sri Lanka. My husband, also of Tamil origin, he was finishing his PhD at University of Cambridge in England. So we get married, then we go to University of Bristol. My husband had a postdoctoral position, and I started my graduate studies at the University of Bristol. And then in 1980, we moved to the US for better opportunities. So we went to New Mexico first. My husband had a job as a research scientist at the Petroleum Center at New Mexico Tech. And I was offered right away a tenure-track assistant professor position in 1980. So I declined it because my son was a baby at the time. Instead, I took visiting faculty position in New Mexico Tech. It was Socorro. And later in Minneapolis, Minnesota, because my husband went to 3M, a company in Minnesota. And I joined the Control Data Corporation as a senior software development in computer networks. So it's almost sort of once you sort of give up a tenure track position, it sort of becomes harder to get back to a tenure track or tenured position. So I was doing development in the early 1980s. And then I was getting a little bit impatient to do, because I wanted to get back into research. I was doing research at University of Minnesota as adjunct faculty, but then I had a lucky break. And that was in fall 1985. That's when I became a US citizen. And just about that time, Honeywell won a United States Air Force contract to design a secure database system, a high assurance database system. And Honeywell interviewed me, and they also wanted to hire me. So all three things had to come together. That is me becoming a US citizen, Honeywell getting that contract from the Air Force, and Honeywell interviewing me and wanting to hire me. So that was really my lucky break. And after that, I've been working in cybersecurity and data science AI. So at that time, it was computer security and data management / AI, because I also did quite a bit of AI expert systems for Honeywell's products, control systems, process control system. And then after Honeywell, I joined the MITRE Corporation. It's a federally funded research and development center in Massachusetts. And then the National Science Foundation as a program director for 3 years, both in data science and cybersecurity. And then I joined UT Dallas in fall 2004, October 2004, just over 15 years ago. So I've been working in this field for over 34 years. It'll be 35 years this fall. So my talk is going to be cybersecurity and AI. So there's big data. I'm not going to talk about all these topics. These are some of the research areas we focus on. Big data security and privacy. So we know that massive amounts of data are being collected and analyzed, and we need to secure the data. So the current work is on developing access control models. That's the work I do with the King's College. You'll be hearing from her later, Professor Maribel Fernandez. And of course, we've got to ensure the privacy of individuals, privacy enhanced data science. So when you talk about cybersecurity and AI, I'm focusing mostly on machine learning. So there's machine learning applications for cybersecurity, such as insider threat detection, intrusion detection, malware analysis, website fingerprinting. So these are some of the research areas I'm working with my colleague, Professor Latifa Khan. The other aspect is that the cybersecurity techniques, the machine learning techniques could be attacked. And so here we are doing some work on adversarial machine learning, and that I'm doing it jointly with my colleague, Professor Murat Kantarcioglu, and we are also doing some work on trustworthy analytics. And then the last bullet, we've just begun exploring some research aspects. What do we do about fake news? I mean, that's something that's becoming so bothersome because we don't know what to trust, even about COVID-19. There's all kinds of fake news. I mean, I got some message via Facebook. It seemed really a logical message, as if it's coming from Stanford University Medical School. All the things that we need to do, and it's also saying drink plenty of water every 10 minutes, because that way the COVID-19 virus will get flushed and it will go to your stomach, and the acids in the stomach will kill the virus instead of going to your nasal path into your lungs. So it seemed very believable, but apparently that was fake news. So that's a challenge. So I'd like to also thank all our sponsors for this work. So data mining science, or data science, security and privacy. So this was introduced, so we introduced the idea of data mining, security and privacy. It was a keynote address at IFIP conference in 1996. And Elisa actually invited me to give this talk. It was in Como, Italy. And later at the Pacific Asia KDD conference. And I published a paper when I was at NSF in 2002. So when you are an NSF program director and you publish a paper in that area, of course that will spawn a new area of research. And so that's when this whole area of privacy preserving data mining started, with people like Rakesh Agrawal at IBM, Chris Clifton at Purdue, and Murat Kantarcioglu, my colleague, was Chris Clifton's student. So anyway, the whole idea is that you have the original data and you add some noise, perturbation, randomization, and so X becomes X prime. And then you have the modified data mining process, and then you have the final modified results. So the whole idea is that even though you are perturbing the data or randomizing the data, the end result, the distribution shouldn't change. The end result should be the same. That is the challenge. So people like Chris Clifton and Murat, they were working on distributed data mining, in particular multi-party computation. So we had a joint PhD student, Dr. Li Liu. She was actually my first PhD student. And we did some work with her. PhD work focused, one aspect was privacy preserving decision trees. And she also developed a novel perturbation method between 2005 to 2008. And then data mining, security, and privacy, it's exacerbated with big data, massive amounts of data. So I organized an NSF workshop back in 2014 fall with Elisa Bertino and Murat Kantarcioglu. Elisa and Murat were the program co-chairs and I was the general chair. And it was at UT Dallas. It was on big data, security, and privacy. And then we presented the results to the interagency working group in February 2015. So there were two aspects at that workshop. One is applying machine learning for cybersecurity. And the other aspect was this adversarial machine learning, although we didn't focus as much on adversarial machine learning. We also focus quite a bit on access control for big data systems. Okay, so what did we do, or what are we doing in machine learning for cybersecurity? So much of our work has been on big data stream classification. And this is jointly with my colleague Latifa Khan, as well as Jay Han from University of Illinois, and Charo Agrawal from IBM TJ Watson Research Center. So data is emanating from all kinds of sources. That could be sensor data, there could be financial data, so it's coming in streams. And of course, we use past data to build classification model and predict the labels of future instances using the model. So what is really unique about this work is that we have network traffic arriving, and then we develop a classification model, and then we keep updating the model. So the main challenge that we are addressing is to detect novel classes. So usually these classes are predefined, right? Whether it's a red class or a blue class or a black class or whatever. But what we are trying to do here is that there could be a new class, say, called purple. And so if we cannot classify the data, then we put it in sort of a buffer, and over time, we can develop a new class. And what we were hoping is to be able to detect zero-day attacks. We did some experiments and we were able to detect some of these attacks, although we didn't have sufficient amount of data. So that's big data stream classification. So we have a number of papers on this topic, but one area we applied, in addition to sort of intrusion detection, malware analysis, and so on, one area we have applied is insider threat detection with my PhD student, Dr. Pallavi Pavin. So what we do here is collect all of this data, system logs, and so on. And then, of course, the usual, we extract features and we gather all the data. So we have chunk. Data is separate, it's coming in streams, separated into chunks, and we develop an ensemble of models. So as chunks arrive, we are developing these models and extracting features, and then of course doing learning, We use unsupervised graph-based anomaly detection, and then ensemble-based analytics. And then when chunk K+1 arrives, of course, we look at all of the information. Remember, these models are ensemble models are continuously changing. We are updating these models. So when the K+1 chunk arrives, then we test it to see whether it's an anomaly or not. And again, the challenge here is to developing this ensemble of models and to determine which models to throw and which models to keep. So constantly there is this consensus building as to the best models to keep. Okay, so that's inside the threat. The other area we are focusing on is this adversarial machine learning. And this research, I'm doing it with Professor Murat, Kantarcioglu. And so the whole idea, is that these machine learning models could be attacked, right? So adversarial machine learning it's learning in general. It's not concept-driven. It's not online learning. Adversary adapts to, and it avoids being detected, right? It could happen during training time, during test time, and so on. So eventually it becomes a game that is played between the data miner and the adversary. So here you can see that all of these red squares are the bad instances and the blue circles are the good instances. And this is sort of the line for the support vector machine model. And then what happens, what the adversary is trying to do is learn enough of our approach so that it's making these red squares turn into blue. And so some of the bad instances are going undetected, okay? So what do? Adversarial machine learning, we develop adversarial support vector machine. So the threat model, the attacker modifies, say, x to x prime. It could be modifying packet length by adding dummy bytes, add a good word to spam email, add noise to an image. So what we do here is that the black dash line, that is this dash line, is the standard SVM classification boundary. We are developing a technique using some mathematical algorithms to move this boundary so that, see, the red pluses here are the bad instances, the green circles are the good instances. We are moving it so that the adversary cannot hide, okay? So what happens here is that by moving the boundary, more of the adversarial attacks could be detected, whereas here it was not detected. So the challenge here is, how do you move this boundary line? I mean, of course, you can move it right up here so that then it sort of defeats the purpose. So the challenge here is to know exactly where to move this line. So this is our other area of research. So, and we've got some good results. And there's also, we did this for support vector machine. So the challenge we have here is that we are doing this for one machine learning model, which is support vector machine. And this is just one type of attack. The particular attack I haven't discussed, it's called the free range attack. But there are numerous attacks and numerous machine learning models. How do you handle all of these models? This is really a very hot research area now in cybersecurity, but some are saying that this is not going to really work because of the fact that there are numerous models and there could be numerous attacks. But we've got to start from somewhere. So that's sort of our objective. What can we do that's going to improve the situation? So for this particular attack, for this particular model, then we have a solution. Okay, so this fake news problem, as I mentioned, it's been very challenging. There are a number of articles. There's also an interesting PhD, a master's thesis actually from MIT. Machine learning techniques are being applied to detect fake news. So the problem with fake news is that, is it really somebody planting some bad information, or are these articles, legitimate articles, being attacked by malware and making it fake. So fake news could happen both ways. One is through malicious code, and one is through bad actors. I mean, they can purposely, spread gossips and rumors. So one thing we need to know is that differentiate between the two. What is fake through malicious code, or what is fake through these bad actors? And of course, the challenge we are facing is training from numerous articles and then testing. So what we are trying to do, especially in the political news area, we're working with political scientists, and this is something we just started. So the whole idea is to take various articles in political science and start training, and then testing it to see whether there is something that is abnormal. So there again, we are focusing only on political science and political events. And so once we know what the normal patterns, anything of course that is abnormal, we label it as fake. So the other thing what we need to do is to look at data provenance. We have to determine the source of the information. We had a joint project with Purdue, Elisa Bertino and Ravi Sandhu and my colleague Murat Kantarcioglu, and it was on secure data provenance. And that project actually finished a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Some of the techniques that we have developed to look at the source of the data, at that time we didn't really think about fake news, but maybe some of those techniques could be applied to determine the source of the information. And as I said, security attacks exacerbate the problem, right? There could be malicious bots creating the fake news, or there could be just bad people purposely planting the fake news. So this is a major challenge faced by both AI and security researchers. So the AI researchers, of course, they are going to train and do the testing. And then the security researchers will have to figure out where these malicious actors, malicious bots, how are they working and how are they modifying the information. So that's something that the AI and security researchers could contribute to. So summary and directions for this whole area, there are numerous benefits of AI, right? Without a doubt, it's being applied everywhere. Medical, finance, government, DoD applications, and even security. And there is this whole movement now, initiative, AI for social good. And United Nations has a special initiative on AI for good, right? So without a doubt, but AI machine learning applications, yes, it's also helping cybersecurity. But because of machine learning or data mining or data science, I'm not sort of differentiating between them. You can put all these information together and infer something that is highly private. So machine learning gives us the ability to detect and to gather information that could be highly sensitive. And of course, the machine learning techniques could be attacked. And as I mentioned, that's one of the challenging areas. And many of the cybersecurity researchers are focusing. And of course, fake news is a major challenge. And whether we are doing machine learning, AI, whatever, we need scalable solutions, right? Because we are dealing with massive amounts of data. And so we need these solutions to scale. That's also another challenge we are faced with. And that's why the future, I believe, is going to be with the integration of data science / AI, cybersecurity, and for scalable solutions. I'm saying the cloud now, right? So cloud is a big thing today. But I would say in the future, there is this whole area, quantum information processing. So I was listening to a presentation the other day where this researcher was taking several of the machine learning algorithms and re-implementing it using quantum science. So that's also, I believe, the future. My last chart. Okay, so now the question is, why SecAI, security and AI for women? So we know that knowledge is power. Cybersecurity, AI, data science, they are highly intellectual fields that integrate multiple disciplines. that includes statistics, machine learning, AI, data management with security. And as I've often said when I give talks to women in cybersecurity, women in data science, these are two areas I'm focusing. Numerous opportunities in this area with high-paying jobs and having financial independence. I always stress this. Having financial independence is a must for every woman. AI has applications in every field, medicine to law to engineering to marketing and sales to social sciences to cybersecurity. Both cybersecurity and AI have many options. You can conduct research in academia, to product development, to startups, to government, and there's substantial funding. And millennial women and beyond, they have flexibility and freedom to choose careers and have female role models in security and AI that us baby boomers never had. And security AI is a flexible field. So you can work from home most days, make it ideal for women to have family and career. And essentially you have the best of both worlds, cybersecurity, AI, and data science. One thing I want to mention though, which I have not included, just before I finish, just take one extra minute. Daphne mentioned, yes, we need role models. One thing we need more for the women to do, and something really I haven't done in the sense that when I was at MITRE, I managed a department and grew the department from 8 to 28. And I could have sort of gone up the ladder in the management chain, but I really didn't want to. I wanted to be on the technical side. And even at UT Dallas, although I have a cybersecurity, I founded the Cybersecurity Institute, I didn't really want to go into management as department head or associate dean or whatever. I really think, especially for the younger women out there, if you really have an aptitude for leading and directing and managing, to get into management, because you need people, say, at the department head levels, more women. Only then you can select some women to become deans, and from deans you can become provost and president. So if you don't get into department head positions, then there are less chance for you to become a dean and then become provost and president. So I would like to encourage more women to get into management. Of course, you need to focus on technical aspects first. But as you get into your mid-career, to think about getting into management and taking department head positions. Because one thing I noted in computer science department heads, almost all of them are men. There are only a handful, if you look at the first sort of 100 universities, only handful of women in computer sance. And so the question is, how can the women then become deans and so on? So that's something I would like all of you all to think about. And here's acknowledgements to my colleagues Murat and Latifa, and of course to our project coordinator, Ms. Rhonda Walls. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bhavani, and amen to what you just said at the end. Women need to get onto the powerful decision-making positions. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We have time for a few questions, and feel free to join. This is online. This feels weird, but then we only have 21 participants, so it's relatively small and an intimate workshop, even though it's hard to fill that. And any questions, comments?
Yeah,